Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, this is a mess, but um, since I bonked my head on October the 9th of 2018, um, that was um, almost a year ago, um, the tremor that was on my left side and the tremor that was on my right side switched spots. So with the tremors changing places, I found out I was able to play my violin again. And it's been pretty cool because I thought I could never play my violin again. The way the tremors were in my hands and my arms. But I can play. But I did have to I started off in sort of February, March-ish. I had to start brand new from scratch. I had to learn everything all over again. Literally everything. I was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star Girl in every conceivable position. But it's paid off. I have enjoyed practicing my violin. In fact, I've gotten so much enjoyment out of it that even though I'm nowhere near wanting to play, like even in a sacrament meeting or anything, no. But for me, it was sounding horrible because of factors with the violin, not me so much. So in this past couple of months, I've really been trying to get my violin to sound better. And so first I put on new strings. The strings were beautiful. Resonation just great. But there was still that airy sound when I would get up into the higher registers on my violin. Even when I would get up into the higher positions on the other strings, there was the airy sound. So I just didn't even want to practice anything that went very high up on the staff of the scale or the staff. So I thought maybe I've had a lot of tension in my shoulder. So I thought, well, maybe it's my shoulder rest, because I clench my shoulder. So I forked out some money for a new shoulder rest. That makes it much easier to practice. I really, really love it. It puts the violin in a good spot where I need it to be, but still the sound was awful. So I decided to take my violin in for a tune-up. I went to a real luthier. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's luthier or whatever it is. They're the people who make violins, fix them, all that kind of stuff. Oh, one more thing. Before I took it there, I was playing on a bow that had very little hair on it. So I had the bow re-haired from my local music store that I've had my bows re-haired from before, but the hairs have always fallen out. So I had it re-haired, and same thing. I couldn't tighten the bow. I couldn't do anything. The hair started falling out again, and so it really made me upset. So I really went to this other place just to have a different person rehair the bow. But then I decided the violin itself needs tuned up. So I had a few things done to it that I wish I would have done years ago, decades. When you think that my violin is 5 decades old, 50 years old, Um, and it's never been in for tune-ups, just had new strings. That's all I've ever done to it. But it needed some work on it, and I wondered if the sound post inside, there's a sound post thing, it looked to me like it's moved since I remember it, and so I wondered if that was causing the issue with the sound. So I talked to the luthier about that. She's a girl, a sweet lady named, her name was Samantha. And Janet took me, and so I went there, and she told me some other things that could help, and definitely could rehair the bow and all these sorts of things. So, okay, now comes to today. That's the 12th of August of 2019, whatever it is. My violin was done, so Janet took me down to pick it up, and I tried it out in the store. I have to admit that I won't admit anything yet. I could tell the difference in the sound, absolutely. The sound is better, but there's still the airiness. That airiness is still there. Not as bad, but it's still there. And it's what I thought it was. It's my violin, and I kind of knew that. I've played another lady's violin before, and her violin didn't sound like that. So it's not me. It's not so much the bow, except the hairs on the bow kept falling off. But it is my violin. But it is beautiful now. I've taken it in for a tune-up. So let me show you the things that have been done. Here's my nice, bright, new, cleaned up violin. She cleaned it and made it just beautiful again. I would zoom in and out, but I can't, so I'm not going to. Now let me show you. I have the new shoulder rest on. It's called a bonk shoulder rest. Here's my old one. Here's the old one. Oh, this one was this way. But it was stuck in this position. I could never move it. I just put it on my violin and off. And it, for 50 years old, I've just had to replace tubing on the ends of here. But this bonk has you can bend it, maneuver it, shape it however you want it. It's got this little thing right here that fits over your shoulder. It holds it on your shoulder. And it's lifted my violin up. The other one was too short. And these were things I didn't know. Nobody ever told me stuff like this. But now they have the internet and you can look things up. So this has raised this up very, very nicely. So that was the first thing I got. Or not the first, but I did get the new strings, which are beautiful sounding strings. Beautiful resonation. And I hadn't changed my strings in probably 2.5 decades, 25 years. So, beautiful. But I also had the tailpiece was cracked and kind of just too short. Wasn't the right length. So I had my tailpiece changed, and I have all these little screwy things now. I used to just have one silver one on the E string. Now I have 4 of them on all the strings. So beautification there. I also had a new bridge put on. The bridge I had, it was tipping. It wasn't a straight bridge like it's supposed to be. I had the luthier put on a new bridge. So there's that. So on the violin itself, that's what was done. Oh, and the sound post inside, I'm sorry. You can sort of see the sound post in there if you look hard. I don't know. I'm trying to look. But a new sound post was put in and adjusted to the right place because the sound post had moved, and so it was now adjusted. It was put in the right place, proper sizing, everything. So the sound post is new. Yay, hooray. And then the hairs on the bow, they are, the bow is, this is my original bow. I had even bought a new bow a couple years ago, but this one, I have, this black is new on it. There's a new piece on the frog right here. There's a new screw inside this screw, and so I can tighten and not tighten the bow. So that's all the things that have been done. I picked it up. I gave them Janet in place, so I sold Janet to them so that I could afford to do this. And Janet was willing, bless her heart, she was so willing to be sold. I appreciate her very much. And of course now I have to put tons of rosin on this bow. But see, oh, I need, where did it go? It fell off. Excuse me. I'm picky like those people who put a thing on their shoulder now. I found that having a rag on my shoulder makes a difference. And maybe it's just this shirt. I don't know. But no, it's my other shirts. But here's my violin. Here's how it sounds. Still resonating. It does have a beautiful resonation to it. I do have troubles with my tremor in this hand that causes my bow to skip a little bit when I get in this sort of a position. And of course vibrato is slow. My fingers are slow. Things are not what they were, but I'll give you a little example. I don't know if anybody ever remembers me playing this music or not, but this was my warm-up music forever and ever from Mrs. Wirtz all those years ago. Oh, I'm not used to having this black thing. Puts my thumb where it needs to be. Cool. But let me try this. Look, I had some vibrato on that. So here we go. Should I have done this? I don't know. Should have done it 30 years ago. I didn't know. I didn't know anything. Even when I was 40 years old. 30 years old. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So thank you for bearing with me this long. I appreciate it. This is how I sound. Twinkle, twinkle. Can you hear the airiness? You can hear the airiness. And you can hear the bouncing of my bow. Sorry. But I'll finish Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I'm sorry. Thanks, everybody. Bye. I don't know how to turn it off. Oh, I guess I will turn it off. Here we go.